Welcome back to another Growing in Grace podcast. We're glad that you're here with us today, and we're glad that you have decided to spend a little time with us. And we would like for you to like, share, and subscribe to this podcast, Growing in Grace. Let your friends and neighbors know about this podcast. We're here to serve you, to help you to grow in grace. We know that God has instituted marriage and that marriage is honorable in all. And we acknowledge that a young man should seek a young woman for marriage, and a young woman should marry a man. However, there are potential deal breakers for those who are seeking spouses. And so today we want to talk with some young people who are not married, who have never been married, who are perhaps looking for spouses. And we want to talk about some deal breakers and some things that will cause them to run in the opposite direction. So today we have with us Alex McCullum,
Yes, sir.
a young man who is eligible as a bachelor. We have McCaila Hall, eligible bachelorette, and young bachelor Thomas Hall Boyd.
That's me.
All right. And we have Nataline
Johnson.
Johnson, eligible bachelorette. And so we're glad to have them with us today. So today we want to talk about some things that you're looking for or things that you would run away from in a potential person that might be pursuing you or would like to approach you. I had some standards myself. As a young man, I was looking for a wife very early on. In fact, I got married earlier than probably you are old. I was 19 when I got married, but I did have some standards. And I was looking for a church lady, a woman who loved God and a woman who was willing to dedicate herself to service to God. And so that's some of what I was looking for. And God blessed me to find that. So let's go around the room. What are you looking for?
I think it is super important to that the woman that I or that God leads me to pursue has a relationship with God herself. I say that for multiple reasons. I think that without God in our life, life as we try to live it on our own is super hard, and it can lead us down a path of self-destruction, and we might not even see it ourselves. So me personally, just her having a relationship with God and her being plugged into a church, and also having a community of other women, younger or older, that are also following God as well, are all super important things. That's the number one thing on my list, for sure.
Okay, number one. What's your number one?
A head who is looking to God, and following God in all His ways, acknowledging God in all His ways. So, someone, as Alex said, who has a peer group of others, men, elders, who are in the church, who are following leadership, someone who can lead me, but his leader is God.
Okay, wonderful, good. Thomas.
Yes, sir. For me, personally, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but it's somebody with some God in her.
Just a little bit.
I need a good amount. You understand what I'm saying?
He said some God. Just an inch and ounce of God.
I say that.
Okay.
I say that because one thing my dad would always tell me was, don't just come out here and get anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, at least if you're gonna get somebody, at least let her have some God in her. Let her be trying to live some type of right. And I don't necessarily. I don't want somebody that is just gonna say, I I look to God or I believe in God, but you still doing other stuff. You still look the same. I can't tell a difference between you. That's not something that I want. I want somebody that's going to be a difference. And I mean, obviously, I'm gonna say what everybody else has not said. I want a good-looking woman.
Oh,
I'm
she
gonna
need
say
to
it.
look good.
I'm gonna say it.
Oh,
I
okay.
want somebody that is attractive. In my eyes, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. But I want somebody that I believe has a good soul, as well as somebody that I'm attracted to.
Okay.
Thanks, Thomas.
You want that too?
I mean, yeah. I think it's kind of taboo to start a conversation.
That's why I said what I said first.
So-
I said what I said first.
Yeah, you said what you said and you meant it.
I
too,
meant
didn't
it.
you? Okay.
Standing on it.
I do want to pause though on that point before we get to Natalie. Yeah, that shouldn't be number one though.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I just
Yes,
want to
sir.
be clear about
Yes,
that.
sir. Right.
Because let me tell you that if that's number one, then
missing
you
out.
could actually miss out on the better qualities.
Right.
Looking at
Yes,
just
sir.
the outer features.
Right.
But yeah, that does mean something.
Yes, sir.
To be attractive. Yes, ma'am. Natalie.
Okay, I would say someone who is definitely saved or seeking the Lord, but I wouldn't. Someone who is humble, a humble man, not afraid to seek counsel, accountability from other men of God, or just to follow leadership in general. Because if he's going to be leading me, I don't just want anybody leading me, because we're one. We would be together. So also someone who doesn't just attend church, but knows why they're attending and can stand for what they believe in, because there's so many things that are outside of just the church world. And if you aren't strong, the devil will just devour you, and I don't want to be a part of that. So
Yes,
someone
ma'am.
who is strong in what they believe.
Right. Very good. Very good. You have some very good primary things that you're looking for. And so as you look for that in your potential mate, there are some red flags and some things that you can see that, yeah. Like you said, they're attending church, but why? Why are they coming? Because sometimes people will come to the church, get baptized, and they're really just playing the long game.
Right. Yeah.
They're really just playing the long game. They know what you have as your number one priorities, and then they just try to go along long enough to get you. And once they've got you, then the real them comes out. And you don't want that. So what are some potential red flags that can help you to know that somebody's really just, playing, or they're not serious or sincere. They're just really trying to win you as a prize. And they don't really want God. They just want you. How could you begin to know that? What are some red flags?
I guess I haven't really dealt with like meeting someone and just, I guess you there's things that you're just gonna find out over time, right? Like I think people can only act a certain way until they can't anymore, and then it's kind of like things are brought to light. I just think, for me personally, like God's word is so true in everything that's said, and it's not up to me to try to figure out, why a specific thing is written in the Bible, or why God said this, or why God said this. It's like rules are rules, and they were put in Scripture for a reason. So I think that it's important to pursue someone who truly and wholeheartedly believes that the Bible is true when it was written, and it's true now, and it's applicable now, and it will forever be that way. I think that, that's I guess kind of how you can tell between someone who may be kind of maybe half in or half out in their kind of like walk or faith.
Yeah. If they're questioning God and questioning the scriptures, the validity of the scriptures, that's a red flag.
Yeah. Or they might just be, in a position to where they need further people around them that can help build them up in their faith, because not everybody is like at the same exact walk.
Well,
you
now
know?
that's true. That's
So
true.
I don't want to say that to say, oh, well, you have to, be, at this specific level at this specific time. I don't think that, it necessarily works that way. I think that just like with any sort of stronghold or any belief, I think it can take time to kind of work that out of a person.
Yes. Yes.
And yeah.
Yeah. So, but here's what I would say about it. It's a difference between seeking to understand,
Right.
and being seeking to be against a thing.
Right.
Because some people are anti-scripture and they're
Yeah, they
questioning because they are against it.
Right.
Yes.
And some people question to understand and to seek knowledge, but some people will question you because they don't believe.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You see, there's a difference in that. So
Right.
you got to be careful about that, because a person could be a potentially great person if they're questioning and seeking to understand. But if they're questioning your faith because they don't believe,
Right.
then that's where
Right.
Or their hearts are hardened. It's kind of like,
Yeah.
do you really want to, be with a person like that? It's kind of like,
yes. Yeah.
I would say for me, it really piggybacking off of what Alex was saying. I don't want a person that feels ambivalent about the scripture at all. Because when you come across someone like that, where I got mixed feelings about whether or not I'm supposed to really obey the mothers like or is it just a suggestion instead of it being they're looking out because they're watching for your souls. They don't really mean that. They don't. It's it's a suggestion. It's not something that you want to take to your heart, but it's something that anybody could do that, but I'm not. I don't want somebody that also is going to play with God in the sense of I'm a be one way at church, one way in front of people, and then at home just a snake pretty much. And I have to, because I have to battle that. I have to try to work with that. I have to try to help to cultivate, and nobody wants to cultivate something that is almost feels impossible to cultivate. You want some ease into it. So if somebody that not necessarily 100% is saved, it's easier to work with that individual, and they're genuine. It's easy to work with that individual rather than somebody that doesn't believe and is just loud-mouthed and hard-hearted and just against everything. That is almost impossible to cultivate.
Well,
no matter how good they look.
Yeah. So what do you think? And I'm coming back to you.
I agree. Someone who can stand on their own, regardless of I come to church or not, they're still going to be there. Or
Whether you're there or not.
absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. I had a thought and I lost it. Oh my goodness, am I 27 or 72?
Look at you. Look at you.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Well, if it comes back to you, what do you think about that? What do you think about that? Where you've got a person, they're coming to church, but are they coming for the right reason? And how can you know whether or not they're really just there for you? Really, or they're just there for you.
I would look at how they carry themselves when at church. And not even necessarily at church, because you're dating this person or trying to get to know this person, but you watch them at church, and in that, watching them at church, trying to see who they hang around. If that person is trying to find mentors at the church to try and get to know how they should be living their life, or seeking spiritual counsel with people at the church, or even who they hang around outside of church, like their friends or their family members. If they're hanging around people who don't care about going to church or what it's like to live right or live for God, those kind of people, having those people in their circle, I think that is what you should be looking at.
Yeah. I was dating someone one time, and it was a struggle. It was a struggle. I really liked this person, and I was thinking about marrying this person, but the person got baptized and all of that, and I thought, okay, this is gonna be okay, you know. So I began to get to know this person, and the standards for dress. I would say the church has a standard for dress, right?
Correct.
But I had my own standard for what I wanted a woman to be with me would look like. And so I'm gonna even take God out of this scenario. I'm gonna take him out of the scenario. And just as a man, I didn't want the person that was with me showing everything that was available to everybody else. I just didn't want that.
Right.
And I it's some men now who look like that's what they want.
No.
But for me, I didn't want that. I didn't want that. Not just because what the Bible says and what the standards of holiness is, but it's because I didn't want a community woman. I wanted a woman that was going to be my woman.
Correct.
You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
I don't want a community woman showing my breast to the community. No, that's mine.
That's right.
If it's going to be mine.
Right. I got you.
I wanted some stuff to be left to the imagination or something. You understand?
Yes, sir.
And so we started having conversations about that, and it looked like we just couldn't. And so when it eventually dissolved, I spoke to myself. I said, now go find you the right one for you. And that's some of what I was looking for. Like you were saying about the beauty, I was looking for a beauty too, but I was looking for an inward beauty. I both, inward and outward.
Right.
I was looking for both, and so yeah, I was looking for that. Okay, somebody who would be covered as a woman, and in in today's standards, it's kind of people's standards are different now.
Right.
A standard of covered is different from what it used to be. So what are some of those other things for you all?
Well, to touch on, I feel like how you can kind of tell, like let's say you're dating someone and like she's coming to church with you. I think that you can tell whether or not the person is there for the right reasons based on not only. I think an important thing is how she shows up like at church, and I don't even mean like physically shows up, like what she's wearing. I mean, like, what is her spirit like when she's here?
Yeah.
Like, is she being receptive to the word? How does she praise God when she's here? I think that that is a major sign. And I also think that good trees produce good fruit. Whether or not they're at church, whether or not they are on their job, whether or not they're at whatever function they're at, I think that you truly can see people who are following God because of because of their presence, because of who they are as a person.
Yeah.
I also think that takes discernment. But it's interesting because this is completely off topic. The ski trip that I went on, we were going up the lift with this random kind of family and group of people that we never met. Well, my friend Kamani got a guy's number and they were talking about business related things. And the guy texted my friend Kamani. He said, man, like I could tell that all of your friends that you were with, like were Jesus followers. And it's like, I think there's certain things that you don't even have to tell people and people just naturally see.
Yeah.
I think that that is why scripture says that we are the salt and we are the light, and people can see that light. And it's important to be a person to where you kind of just let your actions talk for you, and yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing that I would say about a red flag would be if this is just an example. If I'm blinded by this individual, just smitten over them, just head over heels. But my father, mother, pastor, deacon, they say that this is not the person for you. This is not them.
Yeah.
This individual is going to mess your life up.
You're going to do it anyway.
If you do it anyway, your life gonna get messed up. You gotta have that community around you that will tell you that this individual is not it.
Yeah.
And I'm supposed to listen to that. If I have faith in my pastor, or if I believe my father, mother, if I believe these people are saved, if I believe that they have my best intentions at heart, and they say that this young lady is not it for you because this, that, and the third, I'm supposed to consider that.
Well, but what if you say, well, Dad, I hear what you say, but, I'm trying to find my wife. Dad, you got your wife.
He do.
That's your wife. Mom, that's your wife.
Right.
I'm trying to find my wife.
Right.
I think this is my decision, and it's one I need to make for myself.
Okay. And then them same decisions you gonna have to make come time when she not acting right. You gonna have to make some tough decisions from that.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's hard. I think that it's also important that like how a person is in the dating phase is that same person that you're gonna get when you're married to them. And I think that if not, literally, if
that's
not
the
worse,
best.
Right.
Yeah, the dating phase is so important, and I think that that's why it's important for us to all make great sound decisions.
Correct.
When it comes to our future spouse, because it is the biggest decision we will ever make. It's like it's like a make or break. It's like if you have a spouse who isn't following Jesus, so it's kind of like you are who you hang out with.
Damaged.
So I don't know. I think it's best to listen to my parents. I think parents know best, and especially having parents who have been married for I think 28 years, and to just that's a rare thing in today's society anyways to have parents who are married. So it's like clearly they know something that I don't clearly know right now, or at least learning to know. Yeah. So I think it's wise to listen to parents.
Yeah, to omit that is just foolishness to me.
I think so.
So how do you feel about the influence of your parents in your choice about that particular mate?
It's perfect, almost. Your parents are going to be the ones to have the tough conversations with you.
Yeah.
And they do have your best interest at heart, especially if they're saved. I think almost any parent, really. A lot of parents, they have their child's best interest at heart. But if you have a saved parent, they care. They're watching out for you. They're looking out for you. And to not listen to them, would be damage, as Tom said. And, my parents are the same ones who told me to guard my heart. So they're trying to do the same thing. They're going to let me know what actions I should take with someone.
Very good. What do you think, Natalie?
I agree. I don't have natural parents in the church yet. So I'm very heavily reliant on obey your parents in the Lord.
Yes.
So pastor, mothers, not getting past them.
Yes.
Don't even come over here.
Yes, very good.
Unless they say wait a while, that's different, but I'm open and I'm very serious about their judgment. My pastor watches for my soul. I believe that, and I trust my pastor. I trust the Holy Ghost, and I will wait on that.
Yes. That was a blessing for me too. I was, talking with the same person about marriage, this person that I just spoke about earlier. And my pastor, we were riding in the car one day, and he just started talking to me. But my pastor really, at the time, he he actually was my grandfather too. And so he was just struck up a conversation, casual and everything. I don't know. I think somebody put him up to it. I really, looking back on it, I really believe somebody put him up to have that conversation with me. I just really believe that because I wasn't listening to others.
Right.
I wasn't.
Right.
I was not. But the way he talked to me, he helped me to see better. And I could see that was not the right person for me. But I'll tell you this. Once I got delivered from that situation, because it was a situation. Once I got delivered from that situation and I found my wife, who I'm married and have been married to for 28, going on 29 years, I was really, once I found her, I went back to my granddad. I said, well, what about her? What do you think about her?
Yeah.
What do you think about her? And then I even talked to her pastor. I said, well, I'm thinking about marrying her. And how is she? What can you tell me?
Right.
And I just went through this big interview process where I went from this one to that one, some of her family members, just to learn, okay, what kind of person is this person that I'm thinking about marrying? And I will share this with you. One of the deal breakers for me would have been if, when I talked to my wife before we got married, if we had a question amongst us, do you believe in divorce? Do you believe in divorce? If she had told me, yeah, I believe in divorce. I believe I can divorce. If we got married, I believe that if things went a certain way, I could divorce you and marry somebody else. Deal breaker.
Deal breaker.
Yeah, for sure.
Deal breaker.
Adios.
we say deuces, adios. And so I asked her, even though, I share this with you, even though we were going to the same church and she had, her pastor was in the same church and believed the same thing as my pastor. We didn't have the same pastor, but they preached the same thing.
Right.
And so I asked her, I said, do you believe in divorce? And she told me no. And then she asked me, did I believe in it? But we had the same teaching. But here's the thing about that. There can be people who sit under the same teaching, but believe different things.
Right.
Believe different things. And I want to say this about the divorce card. If I believed in divorce, or if my wife believed in divorce, like we could leave each other and marry somebody else. Because a person can get divorced, but
Right.
according to the scripture, you don't marry somebody else,
Right.
as long as the first one lives. If we believe that we could divorce each other and marry somebody else, we probably would have been divorced by now.
I agree.
I'm just going to pause and let that settle in. We probably would have got divorced. And the reason why I say that is because things did get tough and tight. And if that was an option, we probably would have pulled that card and laid it on the table.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yes, sir.
And so, you need to be careful about that, because marriage, if once you get into it, you'll see that it's going to have challenges. Even if you believe the same thing, there are going to be challenges. And the thing is, you've got to, you want to go into that covenant with somebody who's going to honor the covenant.
Right.
Right.
If you go into the covenant with somebody who's not going to honor the covenant, then it could all fall to pieces.
Right.
Okay.
I think that's another main reason why it's important to get someone that is in the church and does believe in Jesus. Yeah, because if you don't, I mean, it's kind of like, you have one set of principles or morals, and then another person has completely other principles or morals, and then it's like, you're navigating this one challenge, and then y'all are both thinking about it differently, and then that's providing or like causing confusion and other stuff like that, and then it trickles down into how you raise kids and parenting, and I could imagine other things like that too.
Yes.
So
Yes, ma'am.
Even naturally, what is he committed to? Or, for me, what is he committed to? For y'all, what is she committed to? I remember it being said the credit score.
Mm-hmm.
A low credit score, not committed to a lot.
Either that or you're committed to too much.
Okay.
So you brought up the credit score, but I'm gonna ask you, Natalie. I've said this in my ministry. A guy with a low credit score, you probably want to run from that, perhaps. Why do you think I said that?
Because
What does you say? What love got to do with what credit got to do with it? Why do you think I said that?
because that's going to be the head of the home, the head of the household.
Yes.
If you don't know how to properly care for your finances, how in the world are you going to take care of mine? And just overall, how you live your life. Are you sober minded? And that low credit score is not saying sober minded.
Yes. What else is that saying? What else does a low credit score say?
A low credit score, to me, like she was saying, you're not good with your finances, but to me, on top of that is you don't honor your commitments because I'm trying to pay for this, but I ain't got the money to pay for it. Put on my credit anyway. That's poor. That you shouldn't be doing stuff like that. It shows that you're not trustworthy because you're supposed to honor that loan or honor that agreement, and you're not doing that. When it comes down to it, if you can't even manage your own credit score and say that you're gonna do what you said you're gonna do, man, who knows what you can do with somebody else's life? Yeah,
I think it also says a lot about a person's character in a way, as, like, for example, if a person's using credit when they don't have the money to pay for it, I think that naturally their priorities are in places to where it shouldn't be. They maybe could be seeking gratification instantly and feeling as like they need something, that thing immediately, whatever it is. And then it's like, if you are a person who desires that instant gratification, it's like, what happens when you don't get that? Like, what happens when things take a lot longer than you expected, or what happens when you get put in a situation where you have to suffer? So how do you act then? I think that's another way to kind of like look at it. Being on time is super important, and doing what you say you're gonna do is also important.
Very good, very good. Because some people may think that's superficial to say what's your credit score, or to bring that into the equation of whether this is a person for you to marry or not. That credit score tells a story. It tells a story. Now, a person can overcome a low credit score. I understand all of that, but it's speaking about those things that y'all just brought out. That's why I said, look at those, think about that, because if they are not performing well, they're not holding their commitments and things of that nature. That's a red flag.
And it's like, this is a person that you're supposed to be able to build a life with, right?
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not even trying to like go off on another tangent, but I mean, that's a deal breaker for me, is like, okay, do we want similar like things like in life? Like,
Yes.
How do we want our life to look like in the next 5 or the next 10 years? Like, what are goals that you have? And then we come to the table and we say, okay, this is the goal we have. Okay, how are we going to do that? I think being with somebody who also like thinks very similarly to you also applies to the entire credit score thing as well, because it's like, without credit, I mean, what can you really do?
Okay, I got another one though. I got another one. See, now y'all think I'm just talking about a guy with a low credit score, but what about a woman with a low credit score? What is that?
Too much.
With
man.
TC.
Golly.
What is that? What is that?
Yeah, it mirrored the same stuff, but and I think naturally, I think women are more emotional based creatures than men are.
Watch it, brother.
I'm
still trying to get married.
I'm tiptoeing. tiptoeing. And in that, I mean, kind of like what Alex was saying. You know, you want something really bad, and let me just go get it, and that mirrors that credit score, because you know, I want these pair of shoes, this dress, I want this, that, and third. I want to go to this nice restaurant, and you all on credit.
I want Louis Vuitton.
All of this stuff, and you doing it on credit, and just like, hey, we don't got credit. That's you know, you need to slow down, because that also affects the man, because if we're trying to get together, then your debt is my debt.
That's where I'm aiming at.
So you gotta.
How much she gonna load you up with it?
That's what I'm saying. So you gotta monitor that woman's credit score as well, just to see, you know, if I'm already, you know, struggling. I don't want to say struggling, but if I'm already, you know, working out my bills and my situations, and then to tack on your bills and your situations, and you are not carrying the proper load, it puts more on me.
Yeah. So, okay. Very good. Now, so here's another one. Another person asked this question, one of their questions for a potential person to date. Are you a parent?
I'm not a parent.
Yeah, that's
No, I'm saying, you know, the potential person. Are you a parent? No. I know y'all not parents.
He's
I know
asking.
I know what you're saying. Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying.
Are you a parent already? Are you a parent already? So what if the person already has children, and is that a deal breaker for you?
For me, it is. Yeah, for me, it's 100% deal breaker.
Yeah. That's for you?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It's a deal breaker for me, but for other people, it does not have to be.
Yeah, you're right. It doesn't have to be.
For me, it's not necessarily a deal breaker. Now, a child to me is fine. When you got children, Lord. So I think I'm not 100% because I haven't been in a situation. But me looking at it, I think I'll be fine with, you know, a child, potentially, maybe.
I actually agree. I don't know what I would do in a situation like that, but I believe that it would kind of be easier to tell where that person's mind is if the children are in some sort of order, because I don't know how the other parent operates. So I don't think that's a deal breaker for me.
Okay. So the guy, he has some children, and then you ma'am?
I said, ooh, how many?
He said, how many?
That's the thing.
That's
That's what I said. Children. Child. Children.
How many feet, sir?
Children kind of. That's steep.
It's like, what if they have 3 kids, but they're like
3 is a
the
lot.
best kids you've ever met before. It's like,
3 is a lot.
Yeah. Well, it might be something to consider,
right?
Depending on the character of a person. Here's something to think about. People, we have made mistakes. Yeah. When I say we, all of us, we've made mistakes, and God allows for new birth.
Right.
He allows for a person to be born again.
Right.
And so when we think about our new birth and what God has brought us from, we've got to acknowledge that if he can bring us from something, he can bring somebody else from something too.
That's right. Yes, sir.
Definitely.
And just because somebody have made some mistakes or some errors in their past, that doesn't mean that's who they are today.
Right.
And some mistakes are irreversible. You understand?
Yes,
like
sir.
children. And so a person really could have went down that road and had a child or children and became a person that was really just a great potential marriage partner. So think about that. Think about that.
it's a good question, though.
Yeah, it's something to think about.
Yeah.
You just don't know sometimes what you could be passing up.
That's right.
In a potential person just because they did make some mistakes that they got caught in. You know, some people made the same mistake, but they just never got.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. That's true.
Yeah. Like sometimes people say, I got one set of children. Yeah, but why? You just didn't get caught.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. It's not because you didn't commit fornication.
Right.
It's just you didn't get somebody with child.
Right.
Or you understand.
Yes, sir. I understand.
That's something to think about. Do you have a legal form of income?
I do.
Ooh. That's a good one.
I do.
So you meet somebody, and they have a lot of finance.
How they get it?
How did you get it?
Man.
So, like you were saying before, here's the thing: affiliation or like-mindedness. Someone that's got to come out as to, okay, are we going in the same track? Are we going to be together in life? And so, in the process where you're getting to know somebody, you gotta really probe and begin to understand. Okay, who is this person, and where they, how do they think, and what is their 5-year plan? Do they have a 5-year plan? Do they think beyond today? Because if you are a planner and you think well into the future, but then you have somebody who's they don't think like that. They just think about today and what we're gonna do today. Are you going to be compatible to each other with that? See, you have to think about compatibility.
That's right.
Compatibility. Okay. What are some more things that you're thinking about?
I'm thinking. My mind went back to just being careful and listening to someone. If you're getting to know them, like I would listen and see if someone is wrestling against the scriptures, because it's going to come out in conversation, because it's how you live your life, and that's important. Because I believe if you're obedient to God, you can do whatever the Lord tells you to do. You'll be fine. That's what I think.
Yes. McCaila, what are some other things? Maybe something we haven't talked about yet. What are some other things? Y'all think about some other things that you've thought about. It's on your list.
Breakers.
Let's see, McCaila, come on. What you got? What other things are you thinking? Something we haven't talked about yet.
I'm not quite sure if we've talked about it yet. Well, Alex kind of briefly mentioned it. Who you hang around. It was taught to me, like, your 5 closest people. That is a reflection of who you are. That is who you are. So if you find out this person is hanging out with people who smoke weed, who, they stay out late, they drink, something that you're not okay with, then you need to find out, okay, why are you hanging around those people if that is not who you claim to be? Or if that, is that what you do too? Because, who you hang around is pretty much a reflection of you.
Okay, very good. Very good.
I think what I've always just desired is to be a dad and a father, and also a husband. I personally want my kids to have a great life. I want them to go to good schools. I want them to know who God is. And it takes a husband and a wife to be on the same accord. Especially I feel like when children become in the mix. There's nothing like a disobedient child. I feel like, and I just, a deal breaker for me, or something that I just, really hope for, is that my future spouse wants to have children, and that she also desires to be a mother, and someone who just naturally just loves kids. I think it's important because I love kids.
So she said, I don't want no kids.
I don't know. That's,
say, check, please.
Yeah, exactly.
Bring the
yeah,
check
so.
and split it. So if you find that out early on, it's pretty much
it's pretty much a deal breaker.
It's a deal breaker. Yeah. See, he brought up the kids about having the children, and so
but like it's up to, the woman if she wants to have kids or not. So it's kind of like, we have to, of course, be on the
same page with one accord. Yes. Yeah. Well, what about you about these kids? What do you think? Yeah. What if he tells you, McCaila, say, I don't want no kids.
No kids, McCaila.
I don't want no kids.
That's tough.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have to go.
Yeah.
That has always been a thing for me. I work in the school system.
Yeah.
That is my passion, working around.
So you want some kids too?
Yes.
Okay.
So for you to say I don't want kids, it's like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Natalie?
Mine is on the same thing with the scripture. Like, I thought I was here to multiply. You don't want me to have listening to someone talk, and it's like, okay, I hear you don't agree with this.
So for you would hear you don't agree with the scriptures if he told you that. That's what you're saying. You would
agree. You mean like no, absolutely not? That's kind of like
you can't have half kids.
Yeah, it's like
like what? I don't understand.
Yeah.
0 kids.
No kids.
Like, no kids. I'm like.
So you saying like if he's
like never like nothing, you can't adopt nothing.
Actually,
like you just want to 2 people in that. That's odd.
So you want like a Sprinter van?
If the Lord will. I think that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Because I think holiness is amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's just to know that there's a life full of love and it's free. You don't want to share that with children. You don't want to bring them up in that. You don't want to. And I was a young person who was brought in by another family who was in holiness, so that impacted my life greatly. I would want to do the same thing.
Yes. We need some more members with that mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. And Sprinter vans.
And
And fill them up with kids and bring them to church.
In 2026, Sprinter vans are in. Completely in. There's nice ones too.
Yeah. That's right. Be fashionable about it. What do you think, TC? I think I skipped you. Children. What do you think about children? Would that be a deal breaker for you if the potential person says no kids, no children?
I think so, because kind of piggybacking off of what Ms. Nataline said, why wouldn't you want to expose them to the world or the life of holiness? Why wouldn't you? And plus, you also you giving God more soldiers, more you building the community up, helping to build up the church. And if you're not doing anything in the church as far as any auxiliaries, you can maybe build some people up that will. Yeah. So you're helping to build up the community, helping to build up the kingdom. And I me personally, I'm really close with my parents.
Yes.
And we always have a good time. I mean, the house is loud. And so I would think I would be kind of weirded out by not having that. It's just us two.
Well, I'll just share with y'all a little thing. Recently, I had the grandchildren at the house with me and my wife. We call ourselves taking a vacation. And we brought all 3 grandkids.
Oh, man.
That was work.
Oh, yeah.
That it was.
Oh, yeah.
And they were all, neither one of them is completely potty trained right now. And so it was work. The house was kind of loud. And I could tell that I was going to miss them. I knew that I was going to miss them when they was gone. Even though it was work, I knew I was going to miss them when they was gone.
Something about the noise.
And now the house is just like a library, just me and my wife. Where them kids? They would interrupt me. I'm trying to read or trying to study. They would interrupt me. And I was trying to do some work and they would interrupt me. But I could tell, I said, now, yes, I'm trying to do this, But when they're not here to do that, I'm gonna miss that.
Right.
And I do already.
Yeah.
I do already. I just wanted to throw that in to say that, children are a blessing.
Yeah, they are.
Children are a blessing, and I know that's maybe a little off topic, but I just wanted to throw that in. That how much a blessing the children are. And so, what are other deal breakers? What are other deal breakers?
For me, it is how you treat your family. If you are around your family, like if y'all move, if they, different states, and how you treat your family.
Yes.
Because if you can't treat them right, man, how can I? And I just met you. How can I expect for you to treat me right? You've been with these people all your life, and you're not treating them right. I can't see it. Can't see it.
And how you treat your friends. And how you treat strangers
Oh man, yeah, that's a big one.
is also very important. I think it's easy for people to like treat people they know right.
Yeah.
And let's say go to a place to where the line's backed up, and then they just like can get an attitude of some sort. I think how you treat people is super important.
Yeah. So that's something to pay attention to, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So you're at your local Crystals for your first date.
They don't even have an inside to where you sit.
They do.
No.
Okay, well maybe not Crystals.
I'm just joking.
Not Crystals, huh?
It can be crystal.
That's no problem. That's
say
no
Chick-fil-A.
problem. Chick-fil-A first date, okay?
Okay.
First date, I feel like Chick-fil-A is
Not
okay.
Crystals.
Yeah, not for the first date.
The second
Chick-fil-A.
Yeah,
You
that's
shaking your
fine.
head,
That's
too.
fine.
Oh no, thank you on the crystals.
No, thank you. Crystals.
We can do crystals on the first date.
Okay.
I'm okay with
Crystals.
it.
I don't eat crystals in general. So.
Yeah. Sorry, Crystal. I'm sorry, Crystal.
Hey, Crystals, sponsor us.
Not.
Oh man.
Okay. Well, you're at a restaurant. Mm-hmm. Let's just be more generic. You're at a restaurant where there's a waiter.
Okay.
Okay. And your potential is treating the waiter bad. Mm-hmm. Is that a red flag?
Yes.
Yes.
That's a red flag.
I mean, for me, it's a pretty significant red flag because how I was raised, my dad told me to try your best to consider the other person. In everything, just consider that other person. And if you out here going crazy on a waiter who done already waited so many people in a day, they're tired too. They have lives. It's a job for them too. Just like you get frustrated at work, maybe they're a little frustrated. Have patience. Work with the person. You can't do that. And I don't see you treating somebody you don't know or somebody that is serving you with respect. I just no.
Yeah.
Something to consider.
And then it's like you're getting food at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's like not even something that's super serious.
Yeah.
So if you can't treat the waiter right, how's your patience level or tolerance level
With something major
in other situations?
Agreed.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What are you thinking?
First off, I've had several waitressing jobs, so if I see that, you gotta go. Okay, like why are you? They don't even cook your food; they just bring it to you. Don't treat them like that. People get upset; they have to wait a long time and things like that. But if we're supposed to be saints and known by our love, you don't have love when you're irritated or hungry. You don't have patience. That's not good. But, and saying all of these things that I've said, I understand people can grow.
Yes.
I'm not saying they'll stay the same forever or can't get help with their credit or something like
Yes,
that.
yes.
But just straight off the bat, that's something that I'm gonna side eye.
Yeah, something to consider.
Yeah, you have to consider it.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to consider it, and you would put. I want to say this too. You probably shouldn't base your decision. Probably shouldn't do it just on one thing altogether.
Right. Yeah, right.
Maybe it just depends on what that one thing is.
That's
you
true too.
understand?
Yes, sir.
But looking at the holistic of that person, you begin to put some metrics in and begin to look at some things. For instance, I'll just put it like this. What if, because bringing up the credit score, what if their credit score is low, but you see that they have changed their ways and they have a character that's actually building and because sometimes people have made mistakes in that area as well.
Right.
Because like when I first got my first credit card, I thought that was my money.
Uh-oh.
I didn't understand credit, and back at that time, I didn't, and my people did not tell me. They told me a lot of other good things,
Right.
but they didn't tell me about money.
Right.
And that's a serious thing that we're trying to correct now with our young people now, but they didn't tell me about money. And so I had to learn some of that the hard way. I got that card for $2,000, and I said, now, what am I going to buy? And I spent all the $2,000 like that was my money. And then here come the bills, and then you understand.
You're like, what? How do I owe $2,500?
I'm just swiping. I mean, $2,000.
Waiting on this money.
I never had this much money before, and I just swiping.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And but my point about that is to say this is that I learned better and I did better, and so people, you should have some grace. You understand? But you need to be concerned about character,
Right.
and you need to see the things that you need to see. Don't just get smitten by their looks or smitten by how they wear their clothes and how well they smell. The superficial.
Right.
You need to look deeper than that.
Yes, sir.
You need to look deeper.
I think another important thing is not only like how a person like the person themselves are, but also like what kind of family they come from. I think is important because I think that when you marry a person, you also marry into their family. So I think that for me, I want my mom and my dad to like love my wife's mother and father if they're still living. And I essentially want us to be like one big family who are super tight. And it's like, if, let's say you're, in a relationship with someone and, they may not, necessarily, they're not walking a certain way. I think you kind of have to look and see like what their closest or immediate people are like as well. And kind of go from there. But I think it's kind of a deal breaker when I don't feel like I like mesh in the family. Like if I feel like the family is not like on the same walk, or if they don't know how to treat people, or if they're more on like the selfish side. I think that those are kind of deal breakers for me.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think that would be a deal breaker for me.
You don't think so?
It may be difficult and it may be a challenge, but there are, of course, other things in life that we'll have to deal with that involve just suffering, general suffering. Family may be a part of that. I'm not saying to ignore it, but if that person is saved, maybe the love of both of you all can win the family over. So.
That just could be a challenging situation for you to deal with.
Yes, sir.
But if that person is, because sometimes in a family, the person that you begin to talk to could be the only one in that family who has begun to come to God and seek Christ. That could be the only one out of that family. And so that could be a jewel that you could pass up. And that you and that person could have a beautiful home and a beautiful family. But when you go for the holidays, you just might have to suffer for 3 days. And then you go back home and you have 363 good days.
I guess I was talking about like in the dating phase beforehand, like before
I
marriage
see.
is in the picture.
Yes.
If the person you're dating isn't necessarily like walking with the Lord, and then you kind of figure out that you don't really mesh well with their family either.
Yes.
I
Yes.
think that can
That's
be
going to compound it, and that's going to let you know that it's time to move on. And actually, I want to speak about that. Moving on, I want to speak a little bit about that. We got to get ready to wrap for today, but I do want to speak about that before we close. You have anything you wanted to add?
I don't think so.
What about you? Anything you want to add?
I just want to say another, for me, something to look at is the type of drive that the young lady may have. A lot of times I got a lot going on, and I need somebody that's gonna be able to help push me. You know, if I see you going for some, and that's some inspiration, and then we can keep going back and forth like that. I need a young lady with, some substance about herself. You know, yeah, yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah.
Likewise, I would like the man that I'm looking at. I don't want to have to ask him what's next.
Mm-hmm.
I would very much like to be able to say, okay, I know you just did this or something. Like he would tell me where we're going as a unit, instead of, okay, what are we doing now? What are we like? Let's
having somebody that you're gonna babysit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a whole nother ordeal.
That's a whole nother.
That's the big one.
Yeah, well, okay. You just opened up something right there. Yeah, because you're looking for somebody with some vision and some, especially as looking at being a holy wife, you're looking for a husband that's going to be a head who would actually maybe cast vision and have vision and take the family in a certain direction. Mm-hmm. So you don't want to find that out, all that after marriage, that this person doesn't have vision. Mm-hmm. Those are things you probably want to try to figure out in the dating phase to see, okay, what kind of vision does he have for himself and for his life and that kind of thing. Very good, very good, very good. And I will share with you that even in my marriage with my wife, she has a drive, and she has helped me in certain ways. There's some things that I probably wouldn't have done if it wasn't for what was in her. And what I'm saying is, I have a drive, she has a drive. We actually help one another and feed off of one another. Right. And as a team, we do something better than I feel like I would have done by myself, or she would have done by herself.
Right.
You see. But I am a whole man, and she is a whole woman. Mm-hmm. Sometimes people say that she completes me. No, I was whole. Uh-huh. She's whole. The Bible didn't say two halves would make a whole.
That's right.
It said two shall become one. And if the person that you're potentially talking to is broken, you probably need to let them become whole before you add yourself to their life.
Yes, sir.
Y'all need to be two whole people. Mm-hmm. Okay. Another thing I wanted to say, though, before we closed is, well, you brought up something. I think I need to say that the other thing, too. About, you said you don't want to be like where you're having to nurture or bring this person along and push this. Yeah, because you don't want to marry a son. You want to marry a husband. And as a man, you're not looking to marry a daughter. You're marrying a woman who's a wife. Mm-hmm. And we're not, you don't supposed to be responsible for raising somebody.
Right.
You understand? Yes, that's not a daughter. That's not a son. That's your husband or that's your wife. Right. And we're not supposed to be trying to raise each other. That's not what we're supposed to be doing.
No.
Yeah. So, any other comments on that?
I agree.
Come on, Nataline, spit it out. It's in you. Come on.
It makes me think about how I would want a man who, of course, is just so strong spiritually, if you're going to be the head, as I stated before, and also knowing where you're going, having direction, having the vision, and just having someone who I can learn from and grow with spiritually. So I understand they're not, or they may not be my pastor, but if I have a question about something spiritually, I want to be able to ask him. He have a solid, holy answer every time, unwavering completely. So that's what I would look for.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Yeah.
I would like somebody that's humble. She easy to talk to. I don't have to try to fight or try to prod her. It's like easy going. Easy going.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm getting ready to close. So here's the thing. you got enough red flags to know that this is not the one. When do you cut it off?
Honestly, I think that the important time to cut it off is when I think there's always a feeling that someone can get that like that person isn't the one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people can wait over and over in like a very long and drawn out process to kind of like cut a relationship off. And I think that you honestly should cut it off probably as soon as you know. Yeah, I think as soon as you know that that person isn't the person for you, I think that's the wise thing to do.
Anybody disagree?
I don't disagree.
I hear a butt coming.
It's not.
I hear definitely hear buzz.
It's not that kind of butt. It's not that kind of butt.
It's not that kind of butt.
I agree.
However, okay.
there to me there would be a certain way to do it.
Oh, yes.
Because I don't want to just be like, I just don't see it, and then that, because I don't want to destroy a person. You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
So, and I'm not saying it's gonna take me weeks and months. No, because that you playing a game at that point.
Okay.
When you get that new information, you need to figure out in my opinion, you need to figure out the best logical, easiest way not to try to destroy that. I mean, because if they really have an affection for you, they will be destroyed
I think
because
also
it's ending.
You can be destroyed too.
You can,
Yeah.
but me tying it back to if my dad doesn't agree and he gives me sound advice or sound talk enough as to why this young lady is not for me, I will have to figure out, okay, how am I going to do this in a way that doesn't cause any destruction or too much destruction.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
So here's the thing. When you know that this is not the one, you need to absolve that as soon as possible. Because beyond that is you're wasting time,
Right.
and you're actually putting yourself in a bad position for the true potential person, because there could be a true potential person for you who sees you taking time with somebody that you know is not a potential anymore.
That's true.
That's very true.
When you know, it's time to cut it at that point. Now, to Thomas's point, here's the guiding principle. Whatsoever you would that men should do to you, do you even so to them. Certainly, nobody should speak to anybody in a way that you wouldn't want to be spoken to.
Right.
Nobody should deal with somebody in a way you wouldn't want to be dealt with.
Right.
Everybody has feelings. But you wouldn't want somebody wasting your time either.
Correct.
Don't waste somebody else's time. And don't waste your own time. Because when you know, that's when it's time to dissolve it. And then you've got to go and find out who's that right one for you, rather than continue to take up time with the wrong one. That makes sense.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
That's sound advice.
Sound
Sound
advice.
advice.
You don't have to take it. But I gave it. You don't have to receive it. But I put it out for you and whoever will listen to it. So I really enjoyed this conversation. And I feel like I could carry on a little further.
Likewise.
Because y'all have brought up some great points that we can
Great
dig
points.
a little deeper into.
You didn't even touch on a lot of things.
Yes, I know. And I was probing too. But time just won't permit us
Yes,
to get to all of it. But I do appreciate this conversation, because I believe that somebody else may be provoked by some of the things that were said in this podcast.
Yes, sir.
And so I appreciate your time. I appreciate the answers and your thoughtfulness. And I thank our audience for being with us today. And I would like to say to our audience, we're glad that you're with us, and we appreciate your commitment of time to these podcasts. And we would like for you to decide to come back next week to do it again. I don't know what we'll be speaking on next week, but come back to hear what we got to say and who we're saying it with and the conversation that we're having. We love you. We appreciate you. We pray that you are growing in grace through the conversations that we are listening to in this podcast. So like, share, subscribe. Tell your friend or your neighbor. Tell somebody that you're not getting along with that well. Maybe you got an enemy that you need to get on better terms with. Tell them about this podcast too. Because actually, if you can do that, you perhaps are growing in grace. Come on back to next week's podcast. God bless you until next week. Have a blessed day.